Dr. Seismic writhed in agony as his body underwent a horrifying transformation. Much of his flesh had been burned away, yet he remained alive, his existence twisted into something unrecognizable. The searing pain coursing through his body began to subside, replaced by an eerie sensation of power, one that he had never felt before. He slowly raised his hands, watching in awe as molten veins pulsed beneath his skin, his very essence now fused with the fiery depths of the earth. A voice echoed through the cavern, powerful and commanding. Volcanica, the ancient and enigmatic being who had orchestrated his transformation, gazed at him with an expression of satisfaction. She revealed that she had been watching him for a long time, waiting for the perfect moment to mold him into something greater. Seismic, still reeling from the pain and confusion, demanded to know why she had done this to him. With an air of unwavering authority, Volcanica proclaimed that he was to rule by her side, a king reborn from fire and stone. But he was more than just a ruler. He was to be her bridge to the surface world, the key to spreading her influence beyond the depths of the earth. Though Seismic was filled with questions, the undeniable power coursing through him made it impossible to resist the pull of his new destiny. Beneath the Pentagon, Amanda approached Donald with a determined look. She insisted on visiting Monax, despite the restricted access surrounding his confinement. Donald hesitated before finally conceding, warning her that she would have no more than 20 minutes. As Amanda stepped into Monax's cell, she was immediately taken aback when he greeted her with a single, jarring word: "Father." Confused, she pressed him for an explanation, but he simply stared at her with an intensity that made her uneasy. Monax explained that he had taken time to reflect on his actions, admitting that his initial anger had clouded his judgment. But as the conversation continued, it took a sharp turn. Monax spoke of Rex, his voice filled with resentment. He accused Amanda of not knowing the true nature of the man she defended so fiercely. With cold certainty, he claimed that Rex had not only ordered his death, but had also orchestrated the extermination of the entire Zaxel bloodline. His words were filled with pain as he recounted witnessing his own mother's death. Amanda refused to accept it. She argued that Rex wouldn't have done something so cruel, that he simply didn't know. Monax scoffed at her naivety, bewildered that she could be so blind. Amanda, unwilling to hear any more, stormed out in anger, leaving Monax alone with his accusations. Shortly after, Rex contacted Amanda, his voice crisp and direct as he issued orders to various teams, ensuring they were prepared for an imminent battle. When Amanda arrived at the battlefield, chaos had already erupted. Seismic and Volcanica were engaged in a brutal clash with the Guardians of the Globe and Mark. Amanda immediately took action, using her abilities to shatter Volcanica's rock path, throwing her off balance. Meanwhile, Rex shouted for Mark to focus on the towering Magmanite monster that loomed over the battlefield. Before Mark could fully engage, he was blindsided by Seismic, who tackled him with a force that sent shockwaves through the ground. Seismic wasted no time, releasing a torrent of molten lava onto Mark's skin. However, to his dismay, Mark was entirely unaffected. Without hesitation, Mark retaliated, launching Seismic off of him and charging toward the Magmanite creature. Just as he prepared to strike, the monstrous being was swiftly and unexpectedly killed. Not by him, but by someone else. Pegasus and Brit worked tirelessly, using their aerial abilities to evacuate civilians from the collapsing cityscape. In the midst of the chaos, Volcanica saw an opening to retreat. But Seismic, still brimming with newfound power, argued that they could still turn the tide in their favor. Volcanica, however, was unwilling to risk it. With a final order, she convinced him to retreat with her, vanishing deep beneath the Earth's surface. As the dust settled, Mark turned to see who had intervened. His eyes widened as Anissa stood before him, her expression unreadable. He immediately questioned her presence, recalling that he had seen her watching Nolan from the shadows. Anissa corrected him with an amused smirk, clarifying that she hadn't been observing Nolan. She had been watching him. Without warning, she stepped forward, grabbed his shoulders, and kissed him. Mark jerked back, startled and confused, stammering out his protest. "Hey, not cool." Anissa simply smiled, her expression full of mischief. "Be seeing you," she murmured before disappearing, leaving Mark hovering in the sky, utterly bewildered. Later that evening, Mark returned home to find Eve unloading groceries. She immediately noticed his troubled expression and pressed him about it. At first, he brushed it off, but after her persistence, he finally admitted what was weighing on his mind. Angstrom Levy. He confessed that he couldn't shake the thought of him, that at any moment he could reappear. The uncertainty gnawed at him, the possibility of another confrontation lingering in the back of his mind. Eve, ever the voice of reason, urged him to let it go. She reminded him that devoting his life to revenge would only turn him into the very thing he despised. Mark fell silent, contemplating her words, but the doubt in his eyes remained. Meanwhile, deep underground, Volcanica stood beside Seismic, her eyes gleaming with purpose. Now that she had witnessed the Guardians' response time firsthand, she knew exactly how to prepare for their next assault. Seismic, still adjusting to his transformation, listened intently. He understood now. This was only the beginning. Late that night, Mark's communicator buzzed, breaking the silence of his room. It was Rex. His voice was grave, filled with the weight of something significant. He had traced a signal, one that couldn't be ignored. They had found Angstrom Levy. And that's the story, folks. Please, leave your thoughts below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this one. See you next time.